Hello and welcome to D&D with High School Students presents the Medusas. I am at the table with most of the Medusas. On my left, I have Jordan and Jennie, who are playing their characters, Areia and Capella, who you have come to know so well. And across the table, we have DJ and Andria playing Bullstrong and Amity. And missing, of course, from this equation currently is Virginia, who plays the character of Magnus. Now, where did we leave off? Let me think. You guys had discovered a underground base? Hideout?
Dungeon hole.
You had done some investigations. You had some combats. You had a big fight.
With a demon that came out of the well.
With a demon that came out of the well.
That stunk really bad.
And who summoned that demon?
A witch. A witchy woman.
Witch-like woman.
Witchy woman.
You defeated. You overcame. You
Stole her
quelled
staff.
your opponents and stole her staff, which had in it embedded what?
A little red crystal.
Red crystal.
Yeah.
Similar, possibly, to the previous had red crystal.
Yes. Though having possessed the other crystal, you know that this is not the same one. You know. You've seen it. You've held it. You too. You guys have seen it. You haven't held it, but you guys have seen it and held it. It's not the same crystal. A little bit smaller. If the tier was the size of a D20, the crystal embedded in this little, in this staff, would be like a small, like D8 sized crystal. Smaller than, yeah, like a smaller sized one, yeah. And so, having cleared this hideout, you were leaving. St. John was excited to get out and get some soup, maybe some fresh bread.
A little too excited.
And all of you had just been walking back through this area that you'd already passed through, and safely, I might add, when Magnus heard a click and exclaimed most naturally, "No!" Let's slow that down for cinematic purposes. You're walking, St. John's talking about soup, he's a few steps ahead of you.
Magnus is
Click.
for traps.
No. St. John turns, looking back at you guys, like the ability to recognize the circumstances have not even registered in an emotion on his face. And then there is an explosion.
Oh.
A massive explosion. I need each one of you to roll 2d6 and add the results up and tell me them.
11.
17,
5.
22, 26. Now roll all those again. Add them up and tell me the results.
10.
10.
4.
36, 46,
9.
55. What'd you have?
4.
59. So each one of you is going to make a dex save. This is very important.
Wow.
Because 59 hit points is a lot of damage to take.
Yeah. Okay. 18.
That'll work.
Thank God. Okay.
21.
21 is a successful save.
15.
What'd you get, Jen? A 6 will not be sufficient.
Uh-oh.
And you had a 15?
Yeah.
That's also not sufficient. Let me explain what happens. I will round down. You take 29 hit points of damage, of flame damage. You also will take
I'm gonna
29 hit
use
points.
Stone's Endurance.
Okay.
7 plus. Okay, that's -8. So how
Okay.
many did you say? 29.
So you only take 21. That's good.
Okay.
Jennie, you are going to take 59 hit points of damage.
I'm in so many negative right now.
Okay, stand by. I need you to make a roll for Magnus.
Okay.
Now, I am giving Magnus advantage on this roll because Magnus was the only person who had a high enough perception check of over 20 in the last game
Alright.
to realize what was happening. So you get to roll with advantage for her dex check.
All right. Virginia, I'm very sorry if I kill your character right now. Okay. 16 plus whatever
Oh
his
yeah,
dex is.
that's fine.
Okay.
Magnus has a huge dex. So Magnus jumps back. You guys both jump back, but you get burned.
Ow.
You take half,
Could I-
right?
You are in the middle of the explosion. Okay? You watch as Capella gets blown back up against the wall, and most of her clothing, regular clothing, is just singed. She is unconscious on the ground. The explosion engulfs you. You feel your natural resilience absorb the heat, but then something else happens. There is a glimmer, a glow from that red stone that's in the staff that you're carrying that takes the heat from you and absorbs it.
Like all of it?
All of it. You take no damage.
Okay, that's cool. That's pretty sick.
With your racial ability, you would have had resistance.
Yeah.
You would have taken half. You failed the deck save, but somehow this crystal in this staff absorbed the damage that you would have taken.
All right. All right.
St. John is completely obliterated. His flesh is black and charred. So there are 2 bodies on the ground. Does anyone want to make a medicine check?
Yes, me the
This
cleric.
is just an observational medicine check, so anyone can really make this
Me
check.
the cleric.
Help,
Oh,
I
no.
guess. That's a nat 1.
What do you guys prefer, the sauteed monk or the Kentucky Fried ASMR?
That's an 8.
16.
Nat 1, so
You make a roll for Magnus.
2.
Both of these people are clearly on the ground, burned and unconscious. What was your roll?
8.
nat 1, but
16.
What'd you have?
I had a 16. Magnus
Oh.
had a 2.
Okay. You can see Capella's still breathing, ever so slightly.
tough.
There's still breath. You see no movement whatsoever from St. John's charred corpse. It's the kind of charred corpse that, you know, like in Star Wars when Luke comes home and like Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru are just like barbecued. It's that. Like, and he's missing parts of his body because the force of the explosion. It is a horrific nightmare scene.
Do I see
If
his
this were
head?
Cthulhu, I'd have you make a sanity check just to, from the horror of seeing this workplace associate who you've come to friend now, Chris. But you do see the breath of life still in Capella.
Do I see St. John's head?
No, most of it's missing.
This is a complete loss. I can't even get his skull.
But again, I just want to reiterate: you do see Capella
I'm
still
alre-
breathing.
I'm
The
already-
hot angel lady is alive.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm running over and I'm casting Spare the Dying first.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cast Cure Wounds at 3rd level,
Okay.
which is 3d8 plus
Priority, sorry.
3. Okay, 4. That's 9. 13. So you get 16 hit points back.
Something.
Capella,
That's how much I got.
the last thing you remember was seeing St. John turn with a blank expression and then flames. You wake up in pain. You're burnt, like your skin is hurt. It hurts.
Ow. Can I use the healing?
Like your cloak is gone. It's like crumpled toast crumbs. You like you're like, I have no eyebrows. Like you are in pain. And you see Areia over you like completing a prayer, and you feel like some restorative health. But this clearly was a painful incident.
Wow, that was pretty painful.
Are you okay? I mean, you're not okay, but can you move all your body parts?
They're here, so that's something. Better than Buddy. But
By the way, you notice that everybody seems singed, except for Amity. Not even his clothes are singed.
why didn't you get any chars on you, huh?
I don't know. I think it's a weird staff that I picked up. I don't. It would only make sense.
Oh,
It's red.
didn't last time you were holding the stone? Didn't it also? It like protects you from the fire, right?
Yeah, we got like blown up by some demon babies, but I didn't feel anything when I was holding it. It's like it got like sucked into the stone or something.
Is that the stone that Magnus lost?
Too small.
Oh.
But it's
So there's a
possible
bunch
that
of stones?
yeah, it's possible, you know, as a cleric of the earth god, it would be possible that there would be more magic by the gods in this plane of existence than just those little things.
Hmm.
Let me just. Can I toss back a quick healing potion?
Yes.
Alright.
Have
You
some.
guys still have your
Healing of
healing
Lucid.
potions on you?
Yeah,
How
I
much
do.
does that do?
You
The
still have your
healing of
healing potion?
Vusek?
I do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna drink that.
2d8 plus 2.
2d8 plus 2.
I think that's what it was.
5, 4, plus 2.
I'm gonna do that too.
Wait, but you didn't take any damage.
Oh, just in case.
Because he still was at low.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Understood.
We had quite a battle.
4.
6 health points. All right.
All right. You
Vusek is
guys
not kind.
get up, and
Are you really low? Are you like on the brink of death?
Oh,
I'm
God.
at 22.
That's, I think.
the walls, by the way, are also just charred. Like the ceiling charred. Like all of it's just scorched.
Oh, can somebody pick up his body so it's not just some charred, you know,
What body?
something,
I mean, there are
some
parts.
kind of remnants.
There's definitely a
But no
torso
head.
with some parts.
But no skull.
No.
Just gather the rest of his pieces so we can drop it off at one of the missionaries.
And tell him what? Do we know which
Well-
one he came
Yeah.
from?
I don't think there's not one
Do you
for
just
the
want to
version.
show up to a random temple and be like, here's a bunch of charred body parts?
We just found.
I just wouldn't want to leave his remains in this old lady's basement.
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
could
could go.
tell her.
Here you go. Here's some charred remains.
We could just go bury
like-
him somewhere.
There were people. But
Okay, we'll just bury him
Right,
somewhere.
or
But
I
I,
will pick up his body parts, I guess.
So I have the demon's skull from earlier.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna kind of use like a Easter basket and like any little things they find, I'm gonna just fill up the skull. Like ears or arms or whatever I can get.
Okay.
I'll pick up some scraps.
You know, what'd be awesome is if that somehow invoked a ritual that reanimated the demon.
Oh,
Oh no.
No, that doesn't happen.
Sinjin is the demon.
All right, you arrive at the end of the hallway,
thank God.
and the small basement antechamber that leads to the stairs.
Does anyone want to check for any more traps?
Magnus,
Sure, Magnus.
you're the
Magnus
person.
is a 17. That's totally fine. Magnus is like, this area is clear.
Now.
Now it is.
All right. So, what are we doing when you get upstairs? Just, what are we telling this lady?
Also, is this the spot that has like all the supplies in it?
Mm-hmm.
Is she still here?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Do you guys want to have any of this supplies?
Can I see if
Might as
there's
well check
anything
something.
useful that would be useful to us?
Like any healing
Daggers,
potion?
arrows, bolts, crossbows, bows, short swords, climbing supplies, rope,
Rope?
Some
Mm.
black
rope.
cloaks, hooded cloaks.
Any magic books?
Nope.
Oh,
Do they have any potions?
All mundane things.
okay.
I'll take some rope.
I'm
I'll,
also gonna take
I'll
some.
Flasks of oil,
I'll hand some.
food, a lot of rations, and water.
I'll give. I'll
I'll
take
eat some more meat sticks, dried meat sticks.
Okay.
I'm gonna
give,
reload on bolts.
Yeah, I'll give some arrows to Magnus for his bow, and I'll give you some arrows.
I have a crossbow and arrows.
Yeah, so I don't need anything.
Okay.
And the rope, climbing stuff.
Okay.
All right, let's find this lady.
You go upstairs. You come out of the custodial storage closet, secret door area. No one's in the shop. The door is still closed. The wooden shutters are closed.
Is the
Is it like
lady here anywhere? Do we notice her?
Hello?
No.
Ma'am?
is it nighttime or like an hour later?
It is evening.
Evening.
Would most stores be closed at
No.
this time?
You could still see light coming through from outside, but
If she's not here, doesn't she have stuff in her shop? We can take a look around.
I mean,
Oh, they have more dried cranberries.
No, I mean like potions or stuff. We're all like burned to a crisp.
I think she was mostly herbal or like herbal weird.
you can acquire enough cloth and gauze and herbs and ointments to assemble 1d4 healing kits. Go ahead, make that roll, Bullstrong.
That's
Awesome.
a 1.
You guys gather enough supplies for a healing kit.
Okay.
You can also grab cinnamon sticks, tea, like tea leaves, tobacco leaves, dried onion powder, garlic bulbs, a silver cross.
Is there mustard?
No, just kidding. There are mustard seeds, yes. There is
But
also
like the
cardamom.
condiment?
No,
Do they have cilantro?
there is not cilantro.
hmm.
What about like parsley, like any little herb like plant?
Yes, there's mint leaves. Basically any herbs, like food herbs that you want, you can gather.
I'm
You
gonna
said
take.
not cilantro.
Cinnamon, yep.
Okay,
I'm gonna take
cool.
mints.
I'll take
mint,
cinnamon.
mint leaves.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try to figure out what this lady is.
So the front door is locked. I mean, you can unlock it.
So
But-
she hasn't left.
Like, clearly, she has left and locked on her way out because you
Okay.
explore while you're like looting her area. Like,
Just
there's
enough to go.
there's nowhere to
She's
hide. It's a small shop. Remember?
She probably went home. Where
Tired.
Yeah, she probably tried to get out of here just
She
in case
probably
somebody
needed
came
new
back.
clothes.
where does she live?
Does she
Where
have
would we?
clothes
I don't know, but that's not really our problem right now, I think. We don't have anything more to do with this lady, do we? She doesn't. She was just like
I mean-
housing the basement, but she didn't know anything.
We cleared out a lot of the Red Star, so you know it's not really her fault because she didn't have an option. She didn't let us go in there all willy nilly, and we're probably in a lot more danger here now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's sneak out.
I should probably leave the token here just in case they
Leave
try to
the
track
token?
us. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good
Just
idea.
toss it on the floor.
Okay.
All right. So.
Do you toss it on the floor?
Or you could put it
No, I
in,
put it like on a shelf,
back where we got it.
like a counter somewhere.
Okay.
Assert dominance.
All right, now we're sneaking out of here.
Okay. Now what?
Should we go? Well,
Door?
wait. I don't know how longer. I think we'll probably have to spend the night, and we should see if we could travel out as soon as possible in like morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we've spent quite a bit of time here, and in general, it's not good for us doing the work we do to stay at any place for a very long time.
All right. Just going back to the inn then.
Yes.
Yeah, this hurts like a lot.
Yeah, I might need a hot bath after this one. Try to draw some new eyebrows on.
I need a cold bath.
Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
guess
go
we'll go-
meditate.
we'll just go on back to the inn and try not to be suspicious on the way.
Yeah, it's
It'll
totally.
smell like fried chicken the whole way back.
Yeah, it's a little hard to do that, but you guys move at
Yeah.
a swift pace. You get back to the inn.
I
The
still
inn
got
seems to
Sinjin.
be, your new home away from home. Like everything seems to be in order there. Your rooms don't seem to be disturbed.
Can I check on Thunderdoom Tony?
Yes, you stop by the stables. Your horse is elated to see you. Make an animal handling check.
Cute.
Cute.
That's probably good. 20.
You get the sense that this horse needs to go for a ride, and you, after being pent up in that underground festering swamp of whatever that was, you feel like you could use some fresh air.
Tony beckons me to ride.
All right, bud.
So you guys go up to your rooms. On your way in, the innkeeper is like, good evening. I can have dinner ready for you if you would like. He looks at you and he's like, perhaps you would like some baths. I could,
Yes.
for the mere price of a silver, I could have the boy draw some water into the boiler and warm up some water for some baths for you. I would be happy to do that if you would like.
You know, that would be really great. Do you also happen to know the name of a good tailor in town?
I certainly could, yes. I will send for one immediately. So you guys kind of go up and unwind. A little bit later, the baths are ready, and it's basically just like three old horse troughs in the backyard that have like curtains around them for privacy. But like there's like a big kettle that with a small fire that warms up the water, and then pipes that lead down with a spigot, so you can kind of turn your water on and draw it. So there are
There's only
baths
3.
drawn, so 3 people at a time can go, and then
Who's
they have to
going in?
So Magnus is like, I'm actually in good shape, and
Okay.
he wasn't really burned.
Yeah.
Bullstrong is out, right?
Bullstrong.
I'm on Tony.
Okay. So we're taking a
Okay, so you guys take baths. It takes
Yes.
a while. You enjoy the bath. You feel clean for
Mhm.
all the reasons that you need to feel clean. And then you dry off. You change into clothes. Around that time, the innkeeper is like, I have a feast for you. Please join us at your private table. He brings out all sorts of yummy meats and vegetables that are stewed, and some fresh bread, and nice creamy butter, and some ale, and you guys start to feel a little more comfortable as that food kicks in, and kind of getting tired. Smash cut.
I'm trying to look for the poor man's bath.
Country roads take me. You're riding your big stallion north. You go through the Palisades. People kind of move out of your way because you're large and the horse is large. You get out the north gate and it's open country. And there's still traders, day traders who come in with their wagons and stuff camped. There's different encampments. You even hear people talking and laughing and music playing, and there's a whole nother little culture encamped outside of the capital, and you kind of pass all that, and you get out on the open road, and that horse just gallops for a ways. You're feeling good. You're it's good to get fresh air out of that city and open land and freedom and stuff. And you go for a ways. The horse relaxes, stops, takes a dump, eats some grass and leaves, drinks from a small creek, and it gives you a chance to kind of unwind and clear your mind.
Can I wash up in the creek real quick?
You
Just-
sure do. Yeah, you're this creek is clean.
Most
You,
certainly.
unlike all the water supplies in that filthy city, and you wash your pits and bits. And then, you know, you kind of are you're feeling a little better, but you're also like, I could use a whole chicken or maybe half of a pig. You're kind of hungry, you know? So you're riding back, and that's when you should make a perception check.
Huh.
That's not the greatest. Oh, that might be okay. 11. 12.
You, on your way back, as I said, there were, you know, people encamped, tents, wagons, that kind of stuff. You're passing back now. You're getting closer, you know, to the north gate, and you notice like there's one tent that kind of seems like a little more like higher class, like a
Fancy
higher
tent.
higher standard of tent. It kind of looks like a noble's tent or like a war tent maybe. It's of some significance. Like the quality of it is a lot more like when you guys were traveling with the Mukadas Jangchalar, like Captain Aki's tent. Like it was kind of like of that vibe. But this tent is not marked with the colors or any insignias related to Kabul Kailish or to Poitax Shahar. But it is curiously like out of place. That's kind of all you notice. Just that like it's a lot nicer than like the little pup tents or even larger tents that are like for people who've come into town to trade goods and travelers and stuff. This is a nice tent. And you notice too like armed guards. They're humans, just normal looking humans, not like super buff or anything. But they have like padded armor on and a shield, and like one of them has a spear and the other one has like a long sword, and they're just standing out like front of the tent. And there's a wagon next to the tent, like a regular travel wagon with an open top, but like crates and bags and supplies in it and a tarp over it. That's all.
So I'm gonna just kind of drive the horse by and ask the guard slyly, like, what's up with the giant fancy tent?
Good. Make a persuasion roll.
Oh, man. 5.
Well, one of them looks up at you and is like, nothing's up with it. Go about your business, big guy. You have a nice night. He looks like he's answering your question and maybe is a little bit scared of you. The other guy looks at him and then looks up at you. Just like looks up at you.
Can I make a perception check to just peek in to the tent, or is it
Only if
completely
you say
covered?
it like this. Can we take a peek?
Can we take a peek?
Yes.
No, we can't.
You kind of like sit up on your horse as you've stopped, and you're
6.
kind of trying to do one of these as like the flaps like kind of breeze. And the guy who didn't say anything and just looked at you was like, hey, ogre, piss off.
What did he just say?
Go on. Do you not understand words?
He sounds like Gordon Ramsay.
Piss off.
Well, that's not very polite. He's a horse, not an ogre. But I could see the confusion. Now, I would appreciate it if you were a little nicer to my friend here.
He looks at the other guy, and the other guy looks at him. Are you mental?
What is that?
Go on. Go on down the road and find some cave to sleep it off in.
That wouldn't be half bad. Do you know any nearby caves?
He looks at the one guy, and the guy shrugs and looks back at him. I'm gonna tell you one more time, large man. You and your big, stupid horse with its big, dumb, stupid arse. Move on down the road.
I will be compliant, but as I walk away, I make my horse just kind of buck a bunch of dirt or sand. or
Animal
whatever.
handling.
Okay.
Yes.
That looks good.
They're like, get out of here, and you're just like the most cordial
18.
gentleman.
18. How many D&D games have you played in recently where somebody's rolled animal handling twice, huh? Mm-hmm.
That's pretty, yeah.
All right. Your nearly bestial bond No, that came out wrong. Your bond with your good steed, your reliable steed, is such that you give him like a little nudge and he does the shift.
He could tell he said something about him.
Yeah. He kind of kicks up some gravel and rock and dirt, little cloud. And the one guy's like, stupid giant.
So I'm gonna head back to the inn now.
Okay. You get back to the inn, and you walk in, and they seem a lot cleaner. Capella is nowhere to be found, because she's actually up in the room with a tailor who is measuring her and has like brought a sampling of cloths for her to choose from. But Amity and Areia seem to have finished a meal, although there's a lot of food left at the table, and they're just having like ale. And there's like a bard in the corner, like quietly playing some harp.
It's a nice change of scenery.
Yeah, nice like relaxing music. The bar is not bustling, it's not loud, but there's still a fair amount of people like kind of quietly chilling. So you pull up a chair.
Yeah. Where's the burn victim?
Up with the tailor, she requested new clothes.
I saw a big fancy tent outside. It didn't have any markings though. It was just two jackass guards.
Did you find out what was in it?
No, but they called my horse an ogre, and then I made my horse throw dirt all over them.
Nice.
That sounds fishy.
We should kill them.
Did they look like the kind of people who have a fancy ass tent in the middle of nowhere?
It was just two humans just hanging out. They were really rude, and they couldn't even tell me where a cave was, but they said I need to find a cave to go live in. So I have to find it myself somehow. I don't know where.
I don't think
we're
that's
gonna have to figure this out later, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's good, pal.
Maybe on the way out of town we'll stop by and ask him to draw a map.
okay.
Yeah, we'll just stop by. Hint.
So you're hungry, so you begin eating all of the scraps.
All right.
And you do, and then you're still hungry. But the innkeeper notices this, and just as you're finishing up like the last of the scraps, he comes by with a large bowl, which is basically like what he brought out before for all of you, like a serving bowl, but he brings it out and just sets it in front of you with a cooking spoon, not like a,
The
Like a
ladle.
ladle.
yeah, like with a ladle. He's like, sir, courtesy of the house, please.
Thank you so much.
Just don't. Thank you. So you eat through a whole bunch of like
You just
like
sit-
stewed
you
beef
just
and
sip on it.
potatoes and carrots and green onions, and it's a hearty, filling meal. Meanwhile, upstairs you choose different colored cloths, and the tailor takes measurements, and she is like, "I will work on this tonight and return in the morrow, wherein you will pay me 4 silver pieces for your new cloak."
Very good then. Thank you.
So she leaves. After a while, you guys are kind of tired. So what do you do?
Sleep.
Trying to sleep, but I can't over the information I received that day.
Well, without further ado then, you go up to your rooms, lock the doors behind you, and go to sleep. Everybody make a perception check.
You're gonna kill us in our sleep.
Maybe.
Maybe. 15.
Maybe.
18.
Is that on
19?
It's a
When do I
7.
ever actually have perception?
perception?
It's crazy.
Roll for Magnus, who also has a
8, 9,
bestial
9.
perception, if memory serves.
I have
That's a 17 plus 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or something.
Like I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure like her passive perception
It's like 20
was
or
like
21.
16 or something stupid. All right.
Crazy.
So you were all sleeping. Did any of you, with your bonuses added in, get over a 20?
Magnus probably.
Magnus
would.
does.
Yeah.
So, Amity, you're sleeping.
yeah.
You had a hard time falling asleep. Finally, you are awake.
Wide awake?
No. You were having a great dream
Oh.
about being able to sleep better, and then Magnus woke you up. And in Magnus's usual, like, eager, naive, and happy way, Magnus is like, Amity, 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 Amity,
What is
wake
it?
up. And like, you're like, what?
Awake.
And Amity, what is that? Magnus points to the window. Now you remember that the innkeeper repaired the wooden shutters,
We found a
but
kitten.
you see like light coming through, but it's not like sunlight like in the morning.
Uh-huh.
It's like a swirling kind of purple and orange and green light, like just coming through the cracks.
Again.
But Magnus is pointing this out to you.
Ah, this must be a dream. What do you mean, Magnus? You go look. I don't. Last time I did, I fell through a window.
Magnus walks over to the window and like tries to peek through the cracks. Can't see anything.
Fine, if I must. Get up, go to it, and I peep too.
You can't see anything through the cracks, but you think if you lift the deadbolt off and open the shutters, you could see.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Let's go.
Could I wait for like a couple of minutes or so, like just to see if it's like the same effects as like hearing it too
Yeah.
after a while?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wait it out and I let Magnus be curious about it.
Okay. Magnus just waits for you. Like Magnus just is like a mouse, like doesn't move. Just keeps looking back and forth between you and the window.
You're acting crazy again. Fine.
When you step forward, Magnus backs up like 5 feet and is like,
You are so crazy sometimes. Okay. I open the deadbolt. Could I crack it? Or?
yeah.
Okay.
When you open the shutter, more of the swirling light pours in. And you could see that it's coming from the sky, much like the sunlight would be coming in. But it is nighttime. You look out, and it's still nighttime. Across the city, it's quiet. The buildings are dark. There's no one on the street. It's like middle of the night.
Like abnormally dark or just natural?
Just natural nighttime. Like,
Okay.
and you in fact see the moon, but there's a much brighter light up in the sky. And when you look up, that vision reminds you precisely of what you saw in a cosmic light show of flashes and swirling lights and vibrant, glowing orbs of light through the sky for as far in every direction to the horizon and back and behind you and above you. You could see the entire nighttime sky is illuminated in this cosmic light show.
Is this like a stronger light? Could I notice
It's
different?
almost precisely the same.
Okay. Who else is in the room?
They're all sleeping,
Uh-huh.
but you had 2 rooms, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
were
have-
in one room, him and I, and then the 3 smaller people were in a
I'll
room.
get
So Capella is sleeping.
Mhm.
Magnus is standing there. Like, what is it?
Wait. Magnus, how can you see this? I thought you couldn't.
Magnus looks up. You could see the light, like, on Magnus's face.
Mm.
Magnus is like, is that coming from the moon?
No, it's clearly everywhere in the sky, basically.
What is it?
I think, remember when Vorsu tried to go towards it? I think it's connected with my patron, God.
How can that be?
I'm not really sure myself because he's been very distant. But now at random times it appears he's contacting my friends, my demon that we kept as a pet. I don't know.
This is very confusing. And then Magnus walks backwards to Magnus's bed.
Like,
And Magnus looks at the bed and points to the bed, and the sheets rise up. Magnus gets into the bed and rolls sideways, and the sheets go over Magnus.
Huh? Can I just yell at the sky?
Yeah.
Okay, just show yourself. I'm tired of this. Clearly, you're doing weird things with my mind. Magnus can't do that in real life. He's usually clumsy at that.
I'm up here. It sounds like a woman's voice, but it's strangely low. Above you. Look.
Okay, I'm looking.
Do you lean out the window to look? Because all you see is the light show.
Yeah, let's go a little.
You lean out the window and you look up, and you see on top of the roof, standing at the edge of the roof, is St. John.
Wow. Oh. Hey,
But
St.
his
John.
skin is not burned. And also, he has a female face, but his head is still shaved.
Can I notice like any like aura
He's
around
like
him?
crouched, kind of like a cat.
A gargoyle.
Do you have like glow around him or something?
No.
Just like him? Okay.
Yeah.
What are you standing like that for? And how come you're alive?
How come you're alive?
Don't look at me like that. Just come down.
Okay. And he just starts flying off the building. Like a bird, he flaps his wings and he literally flies across the skyline, and then he turns around. And when he turns around, he's no longer St. John. His cloak has turned to like a different color, and it's expanded, and his cloak seems to stretch into these huge, wide things. And when it turns around, it's suddenly become Vorsu, but Vorsu is even bigger.
Oh my god.
And Vorsu flies back, and you feel the wind blowing your hair as Vorsu flies back, and then just stops, and his wings kind of keep him floating in motion. And he's floating above your like above the street in front of your window.
Do you want to be shot? What are you doing out there?
You said to come down.
When did I say that?
Just now.
Then at least get inside the room. You'll be shot on sight if someone sees you.
Tell him to say that.
Yeah, invite him inside.
He's
Yeah.
gonna
Fit
break
in
the
there,
whole
right?
window.
Are you sure?
Do you have a better idea?
No.
What? Can you like shapeshift back into like that human form?
Maybe. And he flies away
Okay,
about
bye.
100 yards, and then he turns around. And you see he's just flying now, like he's gone up, and now he kind of goes into a dive, and he's headed straight towards the window.
Okay, so I move out of the way.
You back up, and you see him coming towards the window, and there's no way he's
Like-
gonna fit in this window. He's like bigger than the second
Da,
floor.
da, da, da. I don't have anything. Stop! I just yell stop.
He slams through the window.
Like
Wood splinters everywhere. You're knocked back into your bed.
into my bed,
Yeah, like it hits you so hard that you're thrown back and you land in your bed.
like perfectly. We're just like
Yeah, perfectly.
okay, so I'm like
In
that.
fact, your covers are on. It's kind of weird.
Huh. Okay.
That's weird.
You look around, the window's fine. It's still boarded shut. Everyone's asleep.
Since I'm a little loony right now, I want to go check the window.
Yeah.
You know, just to see.
You open it up, it's nighttime. There's moonlight.
You're crazy.
I wake up Capella.
Amity wakes you up.
Recover, man.
What?
She's
What?
actively dying.
What do you want?
I had the strangest dream.
Oh my god, not this again.
No, you have to believe me. Magnus was acting crazier than usual, and we saw Vorsu again. I saw it, at least.
By the way, Magnus is lights out asleep in his cot, like 4 feet away.
Listen, I know you're hung up on your big demon baby, but just because you're having dreams about it doesn't mean you need to come shaking me out of my covers.
No, it felt real.
Real?
Yeah, Magnus pointed out the sky again for some reason.
Oh my god, not this sky.
No, come on. You saw it. Come on.
Barely, and that's just from how hung up you and your demon were. But you can't be so caught up on this, how do you even know what you're seeing?
It felt really real, like I was there the whole time. But the weird thing was, everything was perfectly going as it should. Like in a dream, you won't notice your surroundings. But in this situation, I noticed every little bit. Magnus went back to his bed after I yelled at him, and I woke up with Mooxhu crashing through the window.
Okay, so why do I need to know about your dreams?
It could mean something deeper, like something's coming maybe, I don't know.
Something's coming. So you had a little night dream about your lost pet,
Yeah,
and you saw the same colors that you saw before that made him fly into the sky, and you just dreamt Magnus was saying some crazy stuff.
yes, and I saw Sinjin too. When I looked out the window and looked up, it was Sinjin, but he switched into Mooxhu for some reason.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens in dreams.
No. I knew you wouldn't get it, but it's fine. I just want
Make
to
an insight check.
Net 20?
No, it's 15.
You feel like he believes what he's telling you. You feel like he's being truthful and that he actually believes what he's telling you.
Okay. All right, so let's just say, hypothetically, that this dream or whatever meant something more than you just felt like disturbing my sleep.
Yes.
If so, what does that mean? Like, is that something with your demon stuff or your witch stuff or whatever?
It's kind of weird how I had this kind of realistic dream after Sinjin told everyone in our group that, Taik was my patron god. And I feel like that's his sign from showing through the lights, everyone that we interacted with and stayed friends with is leading us to the right path, maybe, but
Well,
he's very vague, I feel like.
I suppose that makes sense. I don't know much about this religion, magic, whatever, I'm a simple person. But I do remember from traveling with Areia a lot of times, she actually knows a lot more about her god, and she prays to them and tries to get guidance from them. Have you ever tried to pray to your god? Your patron or whoever?
Not really. It was kind of
I mean,
a distant relationship, kind of.
If you're really trying to get in contact and you're having all these crazy dreams and you're not sure what it means, maybe just take a minute, meditate, and try to do, I don't know, whatever weird mind stuff you guys do with your gods.
Sure, I go back to sleep. That's the thing, because maybe I could get a clear message through my dreams, but I don't know.
I think you can do you. Maybe just, I don't know, meditate or something.
Okay.
I'm not the magic religion one.
All
you know?
right. Yeah.
Sinjin probably could have told you more about that, but a little late now.
Yeah, he's dead. So
I'm just already getting back in my covers. I'm like, all right, so just pray or something. I don't know. Go back to sleep.
Okay. I go by the window, sit and meditate for a good 5 minutes just to check.
5 minutes.
Do an hour.
But I'm usually
thorough.
impatient kind of person, so.
You begin meditating and you fall asleep. In the morning, all of you have gained the benefits of a long rest.
Oh no.
May the healing occur to your bodies and your wounded souls. Also spells and other things that are related to that. Your morning rituals, I'm assuming you complete in a tidy and efficient manner. Jennie, around the time that breakfast is served, you get a visit, and you will minus off 4 silver pieces for your new cloak. The innkeeper is happy to serve you guys breakfast, which you enjoy. And then you've kind of completed most of your morning tasks. So I say to you then, now what?
Hey, do you guys want to stop back by the pet shop then? Because I know we wanted to travel out soon, but I did want to make sure we checked with him before we left. I did promise I would come back for the new order.
I kind of want to go magic book searching just for a little bit.
Magic book search.
Okay.
Or incognito.
Who's going with whom?
I'll go with Amity.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go with Capella.
And then I think Magnus was probably going to go with us because Magnus had wrote down the name of the pet shop and everything.
The
Magnus
tarantula.
eagerly leads you to the pet shop.
Yes.
Magnus wanted a tarantula.
Yes. And you are pleased to see that the brother of the owner is remembers you. Like Magnus walks in and he doesn't really make any contact. But then he sees you and he sees you and he's like, oh yes, good morning. I am very pleased. My brother has acquired some special pets for you to observe. He's like, please come with me. Although you watch your head. You notice all of the doorways in this building are like at a height of 5 foot because they're all short people who work here. And there's a lot of like step stools and ladders.
Half my height almost.
Yeah. So the small man goes over first to a wooden box, which actually has like an iron handle on it.
Mm.
And he brings it over to Magnus. He's like, he taps it 3 or 4 times on the top. And he's like, and he turns the little latch lock and lifts it open. You see there's like a bed of hay and a couple twigs, and at the bottom is a very furry, large spider. And Magnus is like, yay! Like, Magnus is so excited. And the guy closes the lid. He's like, now, I would advise a diet principally composed of crickets, some flies, and he like gives a whole bunch of directions. And he's like, and it will be 5 gold for the tarantula. You have to minus off gold since Magnus isn't here.
Magnus has to pay me.
Perhaps more importantly, he goes, allow me to acquire the second case. He goes into another room and he comes out with a case that's a bit larger. And it's wood on 3 sides with a base of wood, and then it's got like little metal cage. And there's a bed of like hay, and there's a little like clay bowl with some like dried vegetables in it and fruits. And he sets it down, and there's like a little curled up thing in there. And he's like, come on, little friend, come on, wake up. And you see this little thing like roll out, and it's a hedgehog, and it's like, and its little snout moves around, and he's like, oh, look, he likes these. And he dangles like a little fat cockroach cricket kind of thing, and the hedgehog like goes for it and eats it.
Oh my god.
It's like, now watch your fingers. We have been trying to hand feed this nice animal, but he is still, wildling and must be tamed. So I would recommend, and he gives you like a whole bunch of tips for how to hand feed it and hold it, and and so he's like, this will be 10 gold.
It's perfectly fine.
So he hands you guys the cases. Magnus is like elated, and you have this hedgehog in a case. It has a handle.
I just instantly, I want to try to take it out and like see if I can pet it.
Yeah.
It's like a,
You take some of the food that he gives you, and then you can make an animal handling check. I'll also have Jordan make an animal handling check afterwards For Magnus,
That's okay.
10.
okay, you get a little nip.
I'm
So
used to that.
you're able to hold him, but it's a little nip, and you're like, okay, calm down. And you kind of hold him for a little while, and when he gets squirmy, you put him back in. Magnus is
Magnus.
like, yay, I'm going to do the same thing. And he picks the
So-
tarantula up, and he's like, nice
16
tarantula.
plus whatever his wisdom is.
Nice tarantula. And the tarantula just like stays there, and he's like, okay, that's pretty awesome. He puts it back in the box. All right, so you guys, you pay up. The halfling gentleman is like, it was a pleasure doing business with you.
Shopkeep.
Yes.
Would you happen to have any songbirds, particularly blue or red, because those are cool colors?
We have an assortment.
Do you know
Yes.
anything that would go well with skull instruments?
do you show him the skull?
The big demon skull,
Yeah.
yes.
With bits in it?
With the charred
no.
arm.
St. John's resting inside.
Okay, he has a
his
19
tone.
for the con check because I was going to have him blow chunks, but he's like, please, sir, take that out of my store.
Okay.
He's like, I would be happy to show you some of the songbirds, but you'll have to go out the front door and around to the barn on the side.
Okay.
All right, he goes out the back door, which you're like, I would have to get down on my knees to crawl through. And you go out in the backyard, and he opens up a barn door, and there are rows of cages, stacks of cages. And like the minute he opens the door, you're like, there's just a cacophony of songs and birds and tweets and chirping.
Wow.
Can I make a perception check to look for a blue jay?
None needed. You see several.
Okay.
You also see a strange, exotic-looking bird. It is much bigger than all these tiny little birds. It's got like a longer beak, and it's got like claws, and it kind of like comes up and looks at you and does like.
It's like a dinosaur.
What sound does it make?
Doesn't make any sound yet.
Don't
Not
touch it.
very instrumental. I don't know.
Is that? Do you say that out loud?
Yes.
It's like. "Caw-caw!"
Oh no.
He told you.
I stand corrected. I would like to still listen to the other animals, just kind of walk around and
Okay.
look for
You walk around.
certain sounds that would go well with skull instruments.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bullstrong. I
They're
think
all
that
very
weird one
high
would fit
pitched.
well.
They tend to be kind of high pitched. And they're all like little birds that flap around, and they do chirps and stuff, and some of them have cute little like natural like sing-song whistles kind of songs.
Also, while we're out here, I wanted to ask the guy that your brother had mentioned you guys had like a bear cub. Do you still have that in stock?
Yes. He points over on the other side of the barn is like a corner of the fenced-in yard, and there's a big wooden post with like a rope that's got like plenty of lead, and you see a bear. You see a small black bear in like this enclosure, and he's like eating and like laying down sideways, and like he gets up when you guys walk over, and he like looks at you, and he goes up to the edge of the enclosure, and the halfling's like, oh, you see, now he knows you're here. He won't calm down until he gets a treat. So he goes, he reaches into a barrel, and he pulls out like a dried fish, and he goes, here, you could feed it to him. Go ahead.
I want to just try to. I'm gonna put it right up to his face.
He sniffs it, and then he's like, and just takes it away from you, and waddles back over to like the corner and finds like a chunk of hay under the tree, and just like lays down and starts like eating the dried fish.
I just look back at Bullstrong. That's
You walk through the entire barn. Many of these birds have little whistles and sing-songy sounds. But that one large bird that doesn't sing or make a weird sound, it's odd because you're like, why is that here? Like it clearly doesn't fit in this room of like little parakeets. Like this is like a huge bird, and it clearly doesn't fit in, and it looks angry that it's like in this room full of of birds in a cage.
What's this
you.
guy's deal? I tell the shopkeep, pointing
He's
at
like,
the bird.
oh. He walks over to you and he's like, he like walks up to a step stool and then he's like, and then you lean down and he's like, that one's a mimic. If you talk to it, it'll say the words back to you that you talk to it. It's smart, but it's mean and it bites.
I think we already have enough biting pets in
It
this
eats
group.
mice.
I like mice.
Do you want to see it?
Does it bite hard?
He like holds up his left hand and there's just a half of a finger missing. And he's like, cranky bird. Tell the big man, how you doing? How you doing?
That's kind of cool.
How you doing?
Aw.
What color's the
Cranky man, tell the big man, piss off. Piss off! Piss off!
Okay, no need to be rude.
He's got quite a vocabulary. I believe my brother has instilled 38 words. And he can still learn new ones if you take the time.
How much is he?
400 gold. It's very rare.
That's
He's
a bit.
only native to the southwest corner of the verge of Parmia. Very rare bird,
That's a bit out of my price range.
of course. I
How
can
much are these
accommodate
smaller
you
birds?
with one of the blue sparrows for a meager 1 gold.
I will take the largest of those. Flick him a gold
He
coin.
goes over and he's like, this one should do. He gets the little cage down and he brings it to you and he hands you a little leather pouch of, like a cloth pouch of like seed. He's like, make sure it gets water too, or
Of course.
fruit. But
Of course.
So, in this time, Capella is just enamored by this bear fighting the urge to bring a bear home. She just looks back at the shopkeeper, so she's like, "Oh, just wondering how much do you think you charge for one like this?"
my brother won't sell him.
Why not?
Well, bears need certain care, and this one was on the verge of death when we rehabilitated him. You see his back left paw there is crooked for a reason. He was caught in a trap. And so we rescued him and did our best to splint the broken bone and help him become rehabilitated. Now he'll take food from us, and he usually won't attack us when we go to clean up his enclosure, but he can get rather perturbed if it's too noisy outside. That's why we have that side door into the back of the barn. If it's rainy, he will sometimes go into his little hidey hole. But I don't know that he would do well out in the open. He goes, now if you're looking for another trainable companion that would do well in crowds, he's like, we do have a number of dogs in the kennel. And they are all pretty well trained and ready to go.
Dogs are fine. I just feel so bad. You know, we travel out into the open, and it just feels like a creature like this to be pent up in here.
Well, if you want, I could talk to my brother, but you would have to get a rather custom-built wagon to house him if you were going to be on the road, as he would need to. He could break through most wood rather easily.
Oh,
So it might be a costly endeavor. If I had to guess, you'd probably be talking about some iron-reinforced wagon with wheels that could carry a heavier load. Probably talking about a good 1,000 gold would be my guess.
well, I'm sure I've heard of those nature people, the like druids and such, they could train something like this.
Ah, but they use magic.
I don't know. I mean, how is his temperament?
Here, it's pretty good. Pretty much what you see.
I want to call over Bullstrong. Like, hey, Bullstrong, come. Stop messing with the birds. Come here.
Clutching my bird in my hand, I approach Capella.
Make an animal handling check.
Don't crush the bird.
I don't plan on hurting the bird. That's got to be good. 15.
You got like a pinky holding his claws in place, and the seed in your palm, so he's not flying anywhere. If you rolled a 1, I totally would have had him fly away. Right. He's got a little blue sparrow.
Oh, I did not expect that from you. Cute.
Watch this. I take out a skull. Meet my pitch. Meet my pitch. Okay. See?
Well, that's neat. Don't you do something with the forest or whatever? You used to live out there or something?
I would perform muscular shows for animals, yes.
Well, take a look at this big guy, I don't know, maybe
Is
I'm
he
just getting
asking
caught up.
for a muscular show?
Oh, definitely. For sure.
I approach the bear's pen.
It just like looks up from its nap pad at you.
I don't know what this would be, but
Performance.
I'm just trying to flex for the animal in a amusing / entertaining way.
Animal handling.
So many animal handling rolls.
12.
What do you do specifically?
Well, I'm not going to use the one that's currently holding down the bird, but like a...
Yeah. All right. You do some of that, and the bear like rolls over, and then it rolls back.
See, don't you think, wouldn't it be so cool if we could, train him? If we had something like this with us?
I can make him currently lean back and forth.
That's a start. Here, I want to see if I can, and I want to try to call him over a little. Come on.
Animal
Come
handling.
It's the most animal handling any session's
Oh
ever
my
seen.
god. That's like a 6.
He just turns back towards his tree nap pad and lays back down in the hay.
It's all in the muscles.
Cut. You and you and you and you
Serious
and
time.
Magnus. No, Magnus is with them.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are walking around.
Quite
You
a
know
thing.
that there are specific areas where districts within the capital where wealth is more readily available. Let's say wealth and learning.
Education.
So you start walking through and you get to the temple district, and you know that this is probably the most likely place where there would be available people of learned knowledge, as well as libraries and purveyors of books and rare antiquities. You enter the temple district and you begin walking through, and you indeed see a shop which has a wooden sign that is carved to look like an open tome above it.
So what are you looking for?
Just some answers, basically.
To what?
Because last night I told Capella of this crazy dream with the lights again and Mooxhu and Sinjin and all that. And I think it's some kind of prophetic dream, but I could be mistaken, and I just want to figure this out.
So you think your God was talking to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Has my God ever spoken to me?
No.
No.
But then again, that is Ayuk, strong on his mountain.
Well, You know, my God's never spoken to me personally, but you just like feel a connection, you know? Like I know that he's watching over me in all that I do, and that's kind of where my powers come from, you know?
Yeah,
So, do your powers come from the same place?
I think so. I heard this strange, like, distinguished voice of like a male voice, but a female voice at the same time. And I know it's from my God because we researched that earlier, like just in general before we knew this, that he's like, they're like genderless and yeah, part of the void, stuff like that.
Did they say anything to you specifically? Or they were just trying to get your attention, you think?
I think just attention, because the lights were like very vibrant, peering through the window. Magnus was like crazy about it, even though I knew that Magnus could never see that because elf, yeah, but.
Interesting. Well, you know, I don't know much about the Void God because my people weren't really into that kind of stuff, but you ever tried praying to your God?
I did last night when Capella was getting sick of me, and I passed out for like, because I don't know, I just couldn't really focus.
I mean, if you want, I can teach you how I pray. Maybe it'll work the same for your God.
I also kind of want to understand why the crystal kind of saved me that was in the staff.
Well, we had the tier a while ago, and it was the same kind of color. And we fought these like demon things, kind of like Vorsu, but like tiny. And they like blew up right in my face, and they were like fire. But somehow I was holding the crystal like you were holding the staff, and I wasn't burned at all. So maybe it's just the power of fire is like focused into that thing and not you.
So is that like an unlimited use kind of situation?
I don't know. I never tried to use the stone. I just held on to it.
Yeah. Okay.
But you do fire magic, right?
Yeah.
You could maybe
Somewhat.
play around with it a little.
I'm familiar with it.
It might
not
be,
really.
you know, helpful tool for us. So.
And can we approach the shop?
Yeah. The door is open. It looks like a very nicely organized shop. There is a long counter behind which are two older looking human people. One is a male, one is a female. And then there's also a elf male who seems to be like reorganizing some of the books that are on some of the shelves. There are rows of shelves, but also a variety of different kinds of parchments and scrolls, quills and inks, like writing supplies. You see a lot of different things behind the counter, but there are many things on shelves around the store. So when you guys go in, the two humans kind of look up and they're like, good day, welcome. The elf person who finishes organizing some stuff on the shelf walks up and he's like, greetings, how may we help you today?
Should I just say it, Areia?
Yeah, I mean, what are you looking for?
More on connecting with gods and Taik specifically.
Of course. We are not a library per se, but we do have some rare items and antiques within our collection. Some older volumes that you might find interesting. Please feel free to follow me. He walks over to an area, and there's like a small table, and you notice he like puts on these like white gloves. And then he goes up to like the shelves and he carefully pulls some books out and like sets them down, grabs another book and grabs, like, he looks around and he's like, ah, yes, there it is. And grabs another one that looks like it's a little different from the other two books. Each of these looks very old. One of them's a little more worn, and the smallest, the third book, is like a leather book cover, and the pages are a little more ragged on the edges. So he's like, what we have here are 3 distinct volumes. The first is a older volume on the collections of divinity. It does not specifically address just Taik. It is a anthology of the tales of the gods, of all of the gods. But there are references in this volume to the origins of our world and the balance of the gods. This second volume speaks more specifically to the relationship between the institutions devoted to each of the gods. And this third one is actually a one-of-a-kind folio of one of the early priests who was anointed at Kadimki Kala at the monastery as and it's I would say an interesting historical read, a diary or journal of sorts, which gives some insight into the early history of the now defunct movement of the Taik monastic order.
All right. So like as a library, like when you're in the library, you could just like skim through it, right?
Yes, I would ask that you use these. He gives you a strange little device, and there's like little cloth pads, and he shows you how to use it. It's like a giant tweezers with cloth pads, and he's like, just be very careful. You may, of course, peruse it, but unlike a library, we would ask that if you are serious about purchasing this, then you may peruse it. The first volume is actually a very reasonable 350 gold. The second volume focused more specifically on the institutions and the institutional history is, let me see, that is 600 gold. This very rare personal journal is 800 gold.
All right.
He looks at you, at your clothing, and then he looks at you again, and then he like looks at you. He's like, yes. So, any questions?
Oh no, I think we'll be good. We'll be careful with the pages.
Very well. I'll be right over here. He hands you the padded forceps, and then he steps like 4 feet over to a bookshelf where he seems to be like organizing things, but the entire time he's like looking at both of you.
All right.
So what are you looking at first?
I'll do the third volume, which is like the anointment, the one who speaks
Okay.
about it.
I'm going to give you an investigation check at disadvantage because he is going to take these books back in a very short amount of time,
Ooh.
realizing that there's no way you have all that money on you.
Is there any way I could like help him out with it at all? Like I cast guidance if you're serious about skimming through it quickly.
I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
Okay.
So you're still at disadvantage, but you can add a D4 to whatever crappy roll you have. A 2
I
plus
can't get
4 is
much
6.
worse.
If you get a 20.
Plus 4. And then
You really can't roll worse than that.
yeah, 9.
A 9. Okay. You're skimming through. It seems to be a very interesting account of a early monastic order devoted to Taik and based in Kadimki Kala, which is where you've been.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's funny is that when you were in Kadimki Kala, there was no representation for Taik. You remember the monastery, it had 4 quadrants, one for each of the primary elements. But this very clearly references that at one time in history, there was also a 5th order dedicated to Taik. It talks about the differences in training, the philosophy in balance. And that's as far as you get before the man comes over and he's like, okay, sir, I understand that you're probably interested in purchasing this, but I'm going to have to put these back. And when you get your financial affairs in order, I will be happy to bring them out again so that you may purchase them. But unlike a library, we must move along. So thank you. He starts putting the books back. He takes the 4 steps from you. He's like, good day, sir. Thank you. Yes. Bye now.
No. Okay.
Bye.
Anything else you're looking for?
He gets a broom
Not
and he literally starts sweeping the floor. He's like, bye now. Goodbye. Thanks for coming.
Could I
The
persuade
human
him?
female comes out. She's like, sir, we will have to ask you to leave. It is clear that you do not have the financial means by which to purchase any of those books.
Why do
Do
you
you have
believe
anything
that?
else here that's a little bit less expensive?
Nope. Apologies, but we have to close. We have an important inventory break that we have to do.
All right.
All right. We're just outside the shop, not too far from
A couple feet outside your shop.
So you walk out. They close the door behind you. You hear a the sound of a lock.
All right, well,
We can always come back later.
yeah, I guess so. But have you ever seen anything like dedicated to the Void God anywhere? Because like I've been around and I
It's
feel
funny
like I
you
haven't
mentioned that.
seen anything.
You're in the Temple District.
Yeah.
You pass by multiple buildings of large, medium, and small shrine size to Ayuk, to Vem, to Vusaik, of course, and to Deepa. You see no such building. You don't even see colors associated with anything other than white, blue, green, and red.
Do you think maybe you could offer something to your god, and maybe, since I don't know if they're close or not in that realm, to like see
Oh, like
anything
if I
about
could
that
ask,
information?
if I could ask Ayuk about Taik.
You did
About,
pass a rather large temple to Ayuk.
I mean, do you want it? You can come in with me.
It was a huge, magnificent gray stone building with green jade trim around the door and around the windows.
Yeah, I mean, you can come in with me if you want. I can teach you how to pray. And maybe I mean, my God's never like spoken to me like your God has, but he might be able to point me in a direction.
Or if that doesn't work, we could always ask like the monks, because they probably know more history about that, about like gods.
Maybe about their God. I don't know about your God because he like it doesn't appear anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go into the big Ayuk temple. We'll just stop in.
Yeah.
You go into this huge temple, and what strikes you immediately is the vast open space, which is supported with like archways and columns. But in the middle is a huge tree. Like, and you look, and it goes all the way up to the top of the building, and the top is open. And around the tree is like a beautiful, like, brick edge, but it's earth, just earth. And you see multiple people like kneeling around the edge bricks and like praying, and like they grab like a handful of soil and they like say their prayers and like lean forward. And you recognize this form of worship, of course.
All right.
How convenient.
Yes, I can teach you. Have you ever prayed before?
No, not that I can
Make
Make a
remember.
religion check.
Oh my god. 8.
8?
Yeah.
You do not gain a level in cleric. So
Alright,
you
well-
take a half an hour and you teach him how to pray.
Yeah, I kneel next to him and I'm like showing him how to do stuff.
At a certain point after your prayers, when you're like getting up and you're like, maybe we should go find the others, you're walking out and a priest walks up to you, clearly wearing like the green ornate robes associated with like a sanctified priest of Ayuk. And he walks up to you and he's like, sister, greetings, welcome.
Greetings.
May Ayuk grant you strength and fortitude.
And you as well.
You have brought a convert to the path.
Yes.
He like looks at you and then like looks back and he's like, well, Ayuk welcomes all to the foundation. The tree's roots grow deep, and so too can you draw strength from Ayuk in his wisdom.
Wisdom. Can you say more about the wisdom? Do you think he could give us knowledge we could desire?
Of course,
Mm.
the roots of knowledge run deep.
I assume we might have a chance at this if it works out.
Ayuk is the foundation upon which you stand. Even the birds in the sky must rest in the branches of the trees which grow from the fruit of Ayuk. Even the tallest mountain is but a whim of the great God of earth.
What about the great god of the void? Excuse me?
He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were jesting.
No,
There is no God of the void.
there is. I actually looked in
You'll
the
have
book.
to excuse my friend here. He's just a little curious about.
No, he's
He's a little new to this religion stuff.
laughing in my face. No.
He's like, friend, if you are referring to the entity which has been known as Taik,
Correct.
allow me to assure you that there is no fifth God. I have studied for 100 years.
Well, I
have seen the evidence, the truths of the gods here on New Wolfoma. It is part of the pilgrimage that every high priest must make. I have traveled to all of the kingdoms. I have visited Parmia and Malakun. I have visited the Mantirum. I have made the pilgrimage. I have seen the fruits of Ayuk throughout the lands. I have felt the refreshing breeze of them blow through my hair. I have felt the warmth of Deepa in the sky. I have felt the refreshing bath and water of Vusaik cleanse my soul. But I have never felt a void. Do you know why? Because a void doesn't exist. It is emptiness, and therefore it cannot exist. Do not be deceived. There is no way that there could be a God of void, for void is nothing. Do not feel ashamed. Many people have fallen for the lies that have been perpetrated for many decades, for centuries, in fact, of the existence of a fifth God. But how could something not existing be in existence? There you have it. It is simple logic.
No.
Wouldn't you agree, sister?
Well, I just have a question for you. You mentioned that you've been around a lot. Have you ever seen people who worship this void god? Because
Of course. There are small, cults and people who are desperate. Really quite sad, actually. Very desperate, sad people who are confused, sometimes mad. And I don't mean angry mad. I mean, lunacy mad.
I wonder.
But yes, there is no evidence. Of course, that is the key. Once again, how could something which is of the void be in existence?
You are wrong.
By definition, void means nothing. It is the absence of a thing. How could there be a God of the void? It is a paradox. Of course, it does not exist. It is something, a fiction, a story, a myth created by those who are
Same could be said
dissatisfied
about
with the perfect
Your
harmony.
nature god.
No, because there is perfect harmony in the four elements. We are surrounded by it. You walk on land. You see and drink
The
water.
void penetrates
You feel
everything
air and
around
breathe
us.
it. You are alive because of the warmth of our sun.
And the
At
soul
night, you are
components.
brought safety through the blanket of fire. All four of those gods are in balance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of them forming the perfect square.
And what's in the middle? The void.
No, there is nothing in the middle. That's the point. A void is literally the absence of a thing. Do not be deceived, my son. Come to us. We will save your soul.
Actually, I'm blessed by Taik, so I really don't want to.
I apologize, sister, but I cannot have this sort of ridiculous near blasphemy in the temple. I will have to ask you to escort
blaspheme
your friend.
My God.
I understand, and I grab him by the arm. and
No, I'm not done with him. No.
No, I drag him out of there.
Do not heed false teachings.
You'll see my wrath.
Checkmate,
Are
atheist.
you
I put my
is
hand
the
over his
truth
mouth.
And the way.
I
No.
put my hand over his mouth and I
The
drag him outside.
foundations of the world are given to us by our
You guys are 0 for 2.
No, and I take him outside and I like grab him by the shoulders when we're like far enough away and I say, listen to me. There are a lot of people here who are not as accepting of you as I might be, as you see. I want you to understand
But
that.
there's evidence in the
Well-
books.
Yes, but some people don't believe that, you know.
And if the so-called traveler, he went everywhere and he didn't see one temple.
Make a wisdom save.
18 is proficient.
Damn it. All right. Nothing happens.
Okay, I just,
You feel angry, but you're like you
Yeah.
can hold it in. You feel like you have control over yourself.
listen, every time we've spoken, I believed you. I believe if you say that you saw a vision, I believe in what you saw, but there's not a lot of official, you know, evidence, as people might say, for this god. As we've seen, there's no temples here, there's no books. There's some books, but they're very, you know, rare. So I think we just might have to do research outside of official spaces.
And by the way, remember that this is Poitax Shahar. It is the capital city of Kabul Kailash, and it is one of the largest and most dense populations on the entire continent, with an entire district devoted to temples and knowledge.
So there might not be temples of it. We've seen some books of it.
Then we gotta find someone who believes the same way, like the cults he said about.
We
Maybe they
found
felt the same
someone
way.
and he doesn't exist anymore.
Are you guys in the temple district, standing outside of the temple of Ayuk, talking about this?
No, we've walked away at this point and we're like talking under
Are
our
you
breath.
heading back to meet up with them?
Yeah, but I'm
Okay.
like nudging him and whispering to him as we're walking. And I'm like, so just keep it contained for right now, and we'll find some other way to deal with this.
Mark my words. If we ever come back to this temple,
You'll be killed on sight for trying to start some things with some priests.
he started it, and I'm simply finishing it.
I just shook
I
my
believe
head.
you. You hear a strange voice.
See? Wait, what?
You hear a strange voice from
Do I hear it or just
not
him?
quite behind you, but as you're walking kind of off to the side and slightly behind you. And yes, you hear it too.
See?
Shh. I put my hand over his mouth again.
Mm.
There are a lot of people in the streets walking, but you definitely heard this voice as you were walking,
Clear.
like over your right shoulders.
Okay. I look.
You see through the crowd of people, like as people are walking by, you see like the top of a bald head, extraordinarily similar to Sinjin. Like it's like the back of a bald head, but then as the face turns, there are female features. The head is shaved clean, just like St. John's, but female features, wearing a black cloak.
Didn't you say you saw that last night? I'm
Yeah.
immediately walking towards it.
Yes, I
You
did.
turn and walk towards the person.
Yeah, I don't like go running. I just am like walking,
Like,
keeping my eye.
She's not walking. She just
Yeah.
is standing there
Okay.
with like a neutral expression.
Oh, I follow Areia to the
Okay.
person.
You walk right up to this person.
Were you listening to our conversation?
From far away.
You said that you would have to find someone who believes you.
Yeah,
I
Oh.
believe you.
You do?
we do.
Of course.
Okay, then we
Huh.
should have a conversation together. Maybe not on the street, if you
No.
don't mind following us.
Very well.
Okay.
No, he can't.
Just to be clear, this looks exactly like the female Sinjin version
I was going to point that out, but
that you saw in your dream.
yeah, it's something familiar. Like he looks from. They look familiar.
You said you had a dream last night.
Yeah.
You said that Forsu was there and Sinjin was there.
It looks like Sinjin. It wasn't really Sinjin.
This
At one
person
point-
looks like Sinjin, but isn't Sinjin.
I think they follow the same dress code like how priests and monks do.
They're walking like with you, but like a couple steps behind you,
Okay.
just with an absolutely like neutral expression.
Okay.
Do we take it to the hotel, or should we meet up with them?
Let's just get out of this dense crowd of people before we start interrogating this person.
Okay.
As long as they're following us, we'll just keep walking.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
You guys walk back to the inn.
We didn't say we were going to meet them at the pet shop, so we would probably go
Okay.
back
If you
there.
want. to.
Around that time, after your shenanigans with birds and bears and hedgehogs and tarantulas, you decide to head back to the inn. And although, Capella, you're disappointed that you're not sure how to hustle up like $4,000, you know someday you'll be rich enough to come back and buy that bear. You guys get back to the inn. You're sitting in the inn, having some snacks and a couple ales. You're playing with your songbird. Magnus is petting his tarantula, and you're like trying to not get bit by the hedgehog, but you're playing with the hedgehog. You're putting in your time. And you see through the open window, because the shutters are open, it's daytime, you see through the open window that Areia and Amity are walking back towards the inn. And they're like a half block away. And you see Sinjin walking with them,
What?
wearing a long black robe and cloak. And then as they get closer, you're like, wait, that's not Sinjin. That's looks like a woman with a shaved head, wearing black robes and a black cloak.
It's the ugliest woman I've ever seen.
No, she's actually quite attractive. It's weird. It makes you feel weird inside. You're like, I don't know how to
In
deal
my
with
opinion,
this.
I like a woman with some hair.
Yes. Yeah. From your tribe's perspective, culturally speaking, this is very strange for you.
It's just one of your kind of things you
I've
people
got
do.
like long, thick dreads. So
She
I've got
looks
a lot of hair.
completely human. You guys keep walking. Now you're at a point where you see the inn, and
Yeah.
through the window, you you see Bullstrong with
Just
like
a zoo.
a mug of beer and like a bird in his hand, and he's like
Yeah, before we.
like just like you can't like he can't comprehend what he's seeing.
Before we go in, I just want to be like, just to be clear for a second, what's your name?
Oh yeah, we forgot to ask you.
Our name is Sinjin.
Okay.
And that's where we're gonna
Stop.
end this episode of the Medusas. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, clicking on the notifications bell. And while you're at it, head over to Patreon and join us. We have lots of goodies over there. We'll see you next time.